Lock and load is where we capture 5 spots on the map called locks. To capture, both allies must be on it until it turns green. If the enemy gets a lock until it turns red, it starts a timer bar that ticks until we get it back, and fills faster the more locks he has. If the bar hits full, we lose. Void rifts spawn every 90 seconds. They keep spawning enemies until destroyed. Enemies become stronger when their friends die, and they set fire to the ground upon death.
Raynor, where do we have him?
So Raynor, he's pretty much, he only has one unit that you can really use here, which is battle cruisers. And if the enemy hits hard against air, then you're in trouble. So
he's
not
in trouble.
Really good. Getting to locks is kind of easy, but like when you teleport to the rift, you can teleport, but if you don't actually like right click it, they'll start shooting other things and might actually chase them and get themselves killed. And it takes a while for him to get enough battle cruisers to like control the rifts meaningfully. And in the meantime, he's just gonna keep getting hit and might even die before then. I put him in E.
Okay.
Now.
How about you, Eviling?
I don't know if Raynor is E class, but for me, okay. I'm probably looking at this through a different lens. I see Raynor as kind of B2C star. So the 2 procedures I would recommend you can either chance it and go with P1, get your foothold early, make use of Raynor's greatest asset is drop pods, and if there's a far rift, usually when rifts spawn, they don't spawn where initial spawns are, so they usually have to spawn in a clear area where there's not originally units there. So you shouldn't have to fight too many things in that point. There might be an encampment near it, but hopefully you have either Banshees or Hyperion to help kind of clear if it does encounter those situations. Now there's P1 approach and trying to end the map early if you are with the ally who's on the same page. Let's end this before it really gets out of hand. Or if you're willing to wait a little longer, then yeah, P3 will allow you to potentially get Hyperion out. And the good thing is, as you reduce Hyperion cooldown, that pretty much means every time you summon Hyperion, you can
clear everything.
Usually get maybe not everything, but at least guaranteed 3 to 4 rifts. I mean, if you're really lucky, then it could be up to 5 if they're grouped together nicely. But yeah. E, that's a little harsh. I mean, that's Artanis level. I mean, just with Raynor's ability to make use of drop pods from any of his building structures, I think that at least puts him in a little higher than Artanis, where Artanis needs to have vision in order to get his forces there.
Okay, how about this? Can we compromise and settle on D?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm willing for that.
Because D's where I personally had Raynor. Okay, Raynor's in D.
Yeah.
I think it's fair. He's not as bad as Artanis, but he's not that much stronger. Yeah. Let's move on. Stetboy, where do we have him?
Stetmann, yeah. He comes out around the same time as Kerrigan, but the thing is, the power difference between P2 Super Gary and Kerrigan is extremely significant. So, and as I said, one of the mutators, Scorched Earth, if you can get flying units, that's going to pretty much negate that point. So Stetmann, Super Gary plus Steadolites not affected by Scorched Earth whatsoever. Void Rifts and Avenger, of course, are a thing, and as you kill things, they might start running toward your natural, so you're going to have to compensate for that. But if you can keep that under control, and once your link floods or infestors or whatever you want to do to counter the composition, then you're pretty much set. And Steadlights, great asset for helping your allies survive and help them to close their rifts.
Okay, so ladder.
A to B.
A to B. How about you, Twotuuu?
He's like Kerrigan, but better. But he's also like very busy. So the links, of course, you can F2, but if you F2 a lot, the links will run into encampments and die. And like if you're on the right side of the map and the rift spawn on the left, it kind of takes long to get there. So you kind of have to avoid the F2 habits. Although, and also the Steadlights, they will keep getting deactivated because the enemies that can hit air will keep attacking them. So eventually they'll actually clump up. So they'll get together, and like a bunch of them will hit at once, because once all the Steadlights are gone, they'll attack like the same area at once. So that kind of feeds Avenger a little bit. I guess he's easier than Phoenix and Alarak, but I put him in C because like his killing is not as reliable as the B's, because it's just Stetmann doing like all the work everywhere. I mean, Gary, he's doing all the work everywhere.
What do you think, Evelyn?
That I see where Twotuuu is going. Yeah, he can't. Super Gary can't be everywhere at one time. He can teleport around. He can turn on blue zone to kind of get to his place. But yes, the Steadlights are going to be taken down. I can understand C, but then again, looking at comparing it to the others again, Phoenix and Alarak, to say Stetmann is in the same boat as them, I'm not too sure if I can wrap my head around that.
What do you think, Twotuuu?
Because it's scary. He's probably not gonna die, but he's doing all the work, and he's like he's only in one place at a time. And yeah, so I put him above Alarak and Phoenix, but the way that he takes care of rifts is not easier or more convenient than the people in B. Because he just uses regular units, he just has to run them there.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking, I personally had Stetboy in B, and I was thinking just infestors, and like take it slow, like mass up like to like 10 infestors, and when you get to that point, you can kind of out rift the rift, you know. That's my thought process.
When you have infestors and lings, you can split your army in several ways. Like you send.
I don't know if I'm weird for this. I personally just use the Zerglings to defend the infestors, because as long as the infestors are there and they're constantly pumping out units, you don't actually need to send the Zerglings anywhere other than to defend the infestors, because they're your kind of squishy of glass cannons, sort of glass factories. Let's go with glass factories. But yeah,
but by the time you get enough infestors to produce a force, like a menacing army, that's like you probably have control of the game. Because if you didn't, then you would have died already.
Kind of. That's my thought process, at least. I guess you also kind of need a bit of luck. That I think the most dangerous rift spawns here are the 8-minute 21s. There are 4 of them, and they're in different spots. So if they're too far apart, Gary probably won't be able to reach all of them. That's kind of funky, unless you have pre-placed Steadlights, for example, in the dead spots that the enemy can't target, and then you teleport Gary there. Maybe that's a way. That's probably the only iffy part, but you can probably have some Zerglings at home to defend until Gary is back. Yeah, it does sound iffy, but I think that's the only hairy part of the game for him. I mean, I didn't put him in A. I certainly didn't put him in S, but I think, that sounds B-esque to me.
I would have put him in S.
If not for the 820 rift, I guess, and also the 220 rift, that he has two trouble parts here: the 220 rift and the 820 rift. Once he's past that, I think he's fine. But yeah, I think he's somewhere between B and C. I personally haven't, but I can sort of get the point that he's not kind of problem free enough.
No, I agree with that, and yeah, I would definitely would not put him in S. I'm reluctant to put him in A. Like C, I can be convinced toward it. B, I would be comfortable.
Are you convinced with C?
I would say C for certain comps.
Certain comps, such as air.
I wouldn't. I would say stuff that wrecks your base quickly. So like
Immortals, Reapers,
Shadow Tech. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, Terran is not so annoying, but you do need to delete the enemies. Terran, especially Reaper Libert, they send a lot of stuff that deals a lot of damage to buildings and destroy bio fast. And again, your Zerglings are pretty good against them. I don't know. So are you willing to put him in C, Eviling? That's kind of the long short of it. Are you willing to put him in C?
I would be willing to put him to C if you're willing to put him into C.
I'm okay with C personally. I kind of silently disagree with C because I know I can have a better result than what I would have with C normally, but it kind of takes a lot of
Phoenix.
Yeah, it kind of takes a bit of stars aligning, kind of lucky rift spawns, or easy enemy, or an ally who shields me, insulates me from the first rift and the 820 rift. If I have an ally who kind of insulates me from
or
that,
not even just shield, just helps.
Just
Not
helps.
just
Yeah,
like,
actually.
oh, yeah.
Actually, just helps. He is kind of I kind of see him as like a force multiplier. If you have good luck or good ally, he's gonna make it really easy for your ally. But if you have a bad ally, or if you're soloing, and if you have bad luck, I can see him potentially having issues.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little reluctant on C, but I mean, I see the point.
Okay, so my goodness, who's that? Anyway, you guys will be able to whose box lit up when someone farted. Anyway, Step Boy in C. Let's put him in C. Prestige wise, he has 1 prestige. The second one, let's move on.